Hi everybody, I'm going to make this video on how to shade in the eyeball part of the eye, aka the white part, right here and here, using some colored pencil. Now the other video I made for you guys was shading the eyeball part of the eye in with oil pastel, which you totally can do. But if you're in a situation like me, my drawing is of the eye itself is very small, and so doing things like this, the white of the eye on either part of this, may be a little bit difficult if I'm trying to do some shading, which I highly encourage y'all to do. All right, so for this one, just because of the area it is very small, I'm going to use colored pencil because I have more control over where it goes and the shading. So right now I'm using my colored pencil set. Obviously, this is a different brand than yours. And what I'm going to do is pull out some colors that would be good for a shadow, okay? So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull out a series of colors here. Give me just a sec. And I will share with you what I am thinking here. Aha. Okay. So I have right now, a series of darker tones with colors with a couple of lighter ones thrown in the mix. And oftentimes I think when kids go to do a shadow within their drawing, they immediately reach for the black, but really shadows, depending on what the shadow is on, can be comprised of a bunch of different colors. So since this is the white of the eye, I'm actually going to use more of like blues and purples for my shadow color, mixed of course with a little bit of black, maybe even a little bit of brown. So I would sharpen up some of these. So before you get started, just sharpen up some of your colored pencils. So like this violet I'm about to use is not even sharpened, so I gotta fix that. And our goal with doing this is to add very small layers of color just where a shadow would appear. So you'll see me add little bit by little bit. And I'm sharpening up these pencils because if I have a good point, I can control the color and the pressure. All right, this one doesn't want to sharpen. I also busted out my white colored pencil. I'm not sure if you all have this in your kit or not, in your colored pencil set. You may want to, after you have mixed and applied your shadow color, you may want to add a little bit of white on top. I'm going to see how I feel with that. Okay, so that is my plan with the white. All right, I'm gonna go with this. This is not like exactly the point that I want, but we'll see what happens. All right, so here's where the shadow on the eye normally occurs. So as you guys know, the eyeball sits in the eye socket. It's covered by both the top lid and the bottom lid. So where the eyelid overlaps the iris and even the eyeball itself is going to be a little bit darker, okay? So I'm actually going to start, I think I'm going to start with my, this is actually a blue violet, believe it or not. And what I'm going to do is just do some really light shading in this area. I'm going to keep it confined to this area right here. I would actually bring it over top of whatever your color is for your iris. I did not complete the iris for this because I wasn't even planning on making this video, y'all. So, okay, it would create a little bit of shadow on the iris. And I'm going to bring it all the way over here. And again, I'm keeping these layers light and largely confined to this area. Now, the other thing that you guys are going to need to do as well is the corners of the eye also have some shadow. So I'm going to kind of curve this around here. and around here. All right, so this actually looks pretty good so far. Now, what I'm gonna do is this blue of the shadow is not enough to satisfy me. So I'm going to mix this with a couple of other colors here. So that's kind of my blue-violet shadowy color. I think I'm also gonna mix it with a smidge of brown, maybe a lighter purple and some black. Okay, so I'm basically gonna do a layer of each and see what I arrive at. The brown, adding a little bit of this brown in here, is going to make that purple color neutral. Okay, so you can see how it's starting to read almost as a gray. And again, I'm coming over top of my iris. Sorry, y'all, I keep turning my paper because I'm like sitting in front of this in a weird way. And again, I'm keeping this layer light because I'm gonna add more stuffs on top of it. All right, so I did that layer of brown. That's actually looking pretty cool. And from here, I may add, let me see, do I want a little bit of purple? I'm gonna bring in the purple just to deepen it a little bit, and then I'm gonna do my final layer of some black in certain areas. Okay, so I'm adding that purple in areas like right here where a couple of things come together. I'm adding it here where this lid comes over here. And again, I'm keeping this light. Adding it in here, that corner of the eye. Cool. Cool. Okay. Next I'm going to add a little bit of black. And again, I'm keeping this super light. And the purpose of combining these different colors together is to create more of a realistic shadow, also a shadow with a little bit more depth than it would have if you just used one color. Okay. All right, one thing I think I'm gonna do, believe it or not, let's see, I'm gonna be a daredevil here. I'm actually going to use a bit of a lighter color to bring this lighter shading just in this area on either side just a little bit. I'm gonna use a light purple and I'm gonna keep it really light. And the purpose of me doing this is I'm just trying to fade this shadow out just a little bit, okay? And it's going to create those areas of light pressure. Oops, here we go. Bringing it down in this area a little bit. Ooh, that's looking cool. All right, so I'm fading out the line here that may have occurred just by blending all those colors together. Ooh, that looks fun. Okay, I'm gonna add a smallest bit of this, oh my gosh, light blue in that same area. And then I am actually going to coat I think I'm gonna coat mine with my white. You do not have to do this part. You can add the white on top to kind of bring all of your colors together to mute them a little bit. So if you feel that like this is a little bit too vibrant, like maybe you press too hard. Again, I'm doing light pressure with this light blue right in this area just to fade this out, to soften that line. Ooh, that looks so cool. I love it. Okay, so this is what I have in terms of shading on the eye. I could actually even bring it down here as well. I didn't really think about that. That may be a good idea. Especially since I have this this sadness that's happening here. But I'm going to keep it to this area for now. Now, the last part of this, and again, you can do this or not. It just depends on how your shadow is looking overall. If you have a white colored pencil, you can bring that over top. And what it should do is mute your colors a little bit because it's going to make them lighter by adding the white. Okay, so I'm going to actually shade this in sort of a curved manner. And I think you'll see what I mean in just a second. Okay. So you can kind of see how I'm curving my strokes as I go, and I'm adding the white on top, and it really does make it look like just more of a subtle shadow now. I think I'm going to leave this area alone because this would be blended into my iris color and the color of my objects, which I did not do. Sorry about that. And then this last part, again, I am just curving my strokes along with the overall curve of the eyeball itself. And you can totally see, I'm going outside the lines here, you can totally see how it muted those shadow colors a little bit, but still looks good. Let's say I want to punch them up in certain areas. I want to make them stand out, maybe in the corners a little bit. I can then come back on top with, I may do like a little bit of purple here, just kind of in the corner, just to bring back that dark. May bring it in the corner here. Okay, so feel free to do a little bit of that after you've kind of blended them together. See how, look at that side versus that side. Just adding back the darks gives it a little bit more depth. And I think I'm actually going to leave it alone now just for kicks. Okay, so this gives you an idea of how you can use colored pencil kind of in a smaller area to shade your eyeball. You know, by using some maybe unconventional, depending on how often you do shadows, some unconventional colors of, you know, not just using black for the shadow, but really bringing in some darker blues, darker purples, a darker brown, and then, you know, even blending it out with your white and your lighter versions of those colors. Give it a shot, especially if you have a smaller eye.